Unlock big ideas in just 11 minutes. Welcome to the 11 Minutes Podcast, where we break down the world's most exciting trends, tech, and business insights, one quick episode at a time.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we, dive deep into a topic. And today we're going to be talking about multiple income streams.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we found this really interesting episode of the 11 Minutes Podcast called 11 Income Sources You Need to Know. And we thought it'd be cool to break it down and really get into it.
I listened to that one too, and it's really relevant, right? It seems like everyone's looking for financial stability these days. And
for sure.
They had some really diverse ideas.
Yeah, and it's not always about quitting your job and, becoming your own boss, but just sort of seeing what's out there, right? So they start off kind of at the beginning, earned income.
Right, the classic 9 to 5.
Exactly.
Or, maybe not 9 to 5 anymore. Who knows with these
Who even knows?
gig economy jobs.
Right.
But yeah, so they start there and then kind of build from there. I think the idea is, you need that solid foundation before you can, add on.
Okay, I like that. Like you're building a house.
Exactly. You need the structure.
So it's less about stay in your cubicle forever.
Yeah.
And more about this is step one to kind of give you that security to then branch out.
It's that safety net. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So you can maybe take some risks, experiment a little.
Okay, so speaking of branching out, let's move on to what they call in the podcast profit and business income. And one of their examples is starting an online store. Maybe you're selling matching hoodies for you and your dog.
Oh, I've seen those.
Right.
The little barriers on the
Yeah, exactly.
So cute, so cute.
So are you becoming the next, Jeff Bezos? Yep. Or are you just making a little side cash? And they talk about the hustle involved.
Yes. That resonated with me because it's easy to think, oh, I'll just start this little side thing. But how much time and energy are you really willing to put in?
So true.
It made me think about my own risk tolerance. Am I someone who can handle the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, or do I prefer a bit more stability?
That's a good point because they don't really get into the mental and emotional side of it. Right?
No, they don't, but it's huge.
Okay, so for those of us who maybe are looking for something a little more hands-off, they get into passive income. And the first thing they mention is interest income, which they kind of jokingly call the lazy approach.
Yeah, but even with something like interest, which you think, oh, I'll just put my money in a high yield account, there's still things to think about. Like inflation.
Oh, right. They don't really talk about that, do they?
No, they kind of gloss over it. They're just make your money work for you. But what if inflation is higher than the interest rate? You're actually losing money.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
And it's funny because they do mention rental income, which can be kind of passive. But then they tell that story about tenants who basically turned this rental property into a frat house.
Oh, no.
And it's just even with something that seems passive, you still have to manage it, right?
Totally. You have to do your research, screen your tenants, think about maintenance costs. It's not as simple as it sounds.
So it's less about totally passive and more about being smart about it.
Exactly.
So we've covered earned income, dipped our toes into profit and passive income. Let's talk about something a little more, opportunistic. They call it capital gains in the podcast, and they use that example of inheriting a rare baseball card and then selling it for a fortune.
Oh, yeah. The find a diamond in the rough approach.
Right. Buy low, sell high, which sounds great in theory.
But it's not always that simple, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, you have to know what you're looking for.
You have to know what's actually valuable, right?
Exactly. It's not like every old baseball card is going to be worth thousands of dollars.
It takes research, understanding market trends, having a good eye.
Yeah, it's not just luck. You got to be strategic about it.
Exactly. And that's what I felt like they missed a little bit in the podcast, the strategy part. Take real estate, for example. Yeah. They talk about flipping houses and stuff, but they don't really get into the details. Location matters, right? And property taxes and the cost of renovation.
Oh, yeah. And then the market could just, tank.
Exactly. You could buy a property thinking you're going to make a killing, and then suddenly interest rates go up and you're stuck.
It reminds me of that other type of income they talk about, royalty income.
Oh, right. Writing a hit song or...
Yeah, or a best-selling book.
And then the checks just keep rolling in.
Right. But it's funny because, how many hit songs are there? How many best-selling books are there?
It's a lot of work to get to that point.
Exactly. And I feel like they kind of gloss over that, all the effort that goes into it before you see those, checks rolling in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about being creative, right? You also have to understand the business side of things, like intellectual property rights and how to actually market your work.
So true. It's like, yeah, you got to protect your work, right? It's not enough to just be talented.
Exactly. And that actually reminds me of another income stream they talk about, which is kind of similar residual income.
Oh, yeah, like those actors who get paid every time their show reruns.
Exactly. Imagine getting paid over and over for work you did once. That's the dream, right?
Right. But I guess it makes sense. Like, they created something valuable that people keep watching.
Yeah, and that's the key, isn't it? Creating something with that kind of long-term earning potential. And it's not just about traditional things like TV shows or books anymore. They actually talk about affiliate marketing as a way to generate residual income online.
Oh, right, right. They compared it to being like what was it, a digital salesperson.
Yeah, I like that analogy. Basically, you recommend products or services to your audience, and if they make a purchase through your unique link, you get a commission.
So it's like you're leveraging your online presence to like earn passive income.
Exactly. And they made a good point about being ethical about it.
Oh, yeah. They were very clear that it's not about spamming people with random links.
No, it's about genuinely recommending things you believe in, that you think your audience will actually find valuable.
Which makes sense, because otherwise you just lose credibility, right?
Exactly. It's about building trust, not breaking it.
Okay.
Okay, so are you ready to jump into something a little more, shall we say, volatile?
Oh, boy, here we go. You're talking about crypto, aren't you?
Had to address the elephant in the room. They called it the Wild West of finance, remember?
Yeah, and they weren't kidding. Like, on the one hand, you hear these stories about people making a fortune practically overnight. But then there's the flip side, where people lose everything.
Right, and I think what resonated with me was their emphasis on research and education.
Yeah, like, don't just jump in blindly because everyone else is.
Exactly. Take the time to understand what you're investing in. What's the technology behind it? What problem is it trying to solve?
Because it's not just about picking the right coin.
Right.
It's about understanding the whole ecosystem.
Exactly. And they made it clear that while crypto can be a legitimate way to generate income, it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, you really have to be comfortable with risk.
And potentially losing everything. Which is why I think the bigger takeaway here, and maybe with all of these income streams, is diversification.
Oh, interesting. Like, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. It's like, remember that house analogy? You don't want to build it all in one flimsy foundation, right?
And you need a good mix of different income streams, so if one takes a hit, you're not left high and dry.
Exactly. It's about creating that financial security net so you can weather the storms.
I like that. Okay, so we've gone from the stability of earned income to the potential of capital gains to the excitement, shall we say, of crypto.
Quite the journey. But it's exciting, isn't it, seeing all these different ways to generate income?
It is. And it's empowering, right? Like, we're not just stuck in one lane anymore.
Exactly. We have options. And I think that's what the 11 Minutes podcast really highlighted, the importance of exploring those options, of figuring out what works best for you and your goals.
It's really about, like, taking ownership of your financial future.
Absolutely. And not being afraid to, think outside the box. Because the traditional path, it's not for everyone.
For sure. And, what I really appreciate about that 11 Minutes episode is it's not like they're saying quit your job and go all in on crypto. It's more about, like, opening your mind to the possibilities.
Right. It's about having options. And not just financial options, but, like, lifestyle options, too.
Exactly. So as we kind of wrap up here, it feels like the big takeaway is not necessarily go start a side hustle this second, but more like,
what do you want your life to look like?
Yes, like, what are your priorities? Is it flexibility? Is it being your own boss? Is it having more time for, family or hobbies?
And once you know what's important to you, then you can start exploring which income streams might support that vision.
Because it's not just about making more money. It's about making money in a way that aligns with, like, your values.
Exactly. It's about having that sense of purpose and fulfillment, not just in your work, but in your life as a whole.
I love that. And who knows, maybe in the process of exploring these different income streams, you'll discover something new about yourself.
Totally. You might uncover a hidden talent or passion you never even knew you had.
And that's what's so exciting about it, right? It's not just about the money. It's about the potential for growth and discovery.
Absolutely. It's about investing in yourself and your future.
Well said. Well, on that note, we're going to leave you with this thought. What's one small step you can take this week to explore the world of multiple income streams, even if it's just doing a little research or brainstorming some ideas? And until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.